Artists, I want you to listen to your inner voice more. I don't want you to be so stuck in other people's opinions and need other people's opinions that you're not creating. I see so many people just need external validation in order to create or to feel okay in their lives. And I see it's such a problem for people that they just get so stuck in what other people will say, think, other people should decide for me, other people know better, I think is this underlying belief. And maybe throughout our lives, there's been people who've made a lot of decisions for us and ingrained that psychology of like, oh, here, I'll tell you what to do. I'll tell you what you should do next. Maybe you've been belittled for a lot of your decisions. And it can be really hard to trust your own judgment when people have basically said it's a bad idea to trust your own judgment. So, what do we do? How do we move forward? That's a great question. I love making art because it's a constant process of decision making and choosing to trust our own decisions. It's amazing to spend time by yourself making art and creating because you're learning to trust yourself, your intuition, your gut. And I find that a lot of artists who are very miserable in their creative process are agonizing over each and every decision. The pain that so many artists feel is just decision fatigue. It's just being really hard on yourself and second guessing decisions. And it's the most important thing as an artist to be decisive. Every single painting behind me is made up of a million micro decisions, from the size of the canvas to the colors I used to where to place each individual line and brush stroke. And I think a lot of people think in order to make good art, you have to constantly be in this conscious mind of what's the next best thing? What should I do? In art, let go of that. There's no should, there's no right decision. And it's funny because I've said that and people will be like, yeah, you shouldn't steal art though. I'm like, yeah, like obviously we're not talking about stealing art. We're talking about being a good moral human with some paints and a canvas or whatever your art supplies of choice are. Oh, the internet. Every piece of art is made up of a lot of decisions, and I would hate my creative process if all of those decisions were conscious. You have to tap into this other part of your brain. Intuition, you can call it, your gut, God, the universe, call it whatever you want. But I think there's a part of each of us that we can just trust without consciously, really intentionally saying, I'm going to put the next line here, the next line here. What would happen if you said, I can make no wrong decisions? I can let go and just create. What would happen if you made a piece of art with that psychology of I can let go? I can just make art. It doesn't have to be right or wrong or good or bad. What would happen if I could just enjoy seeing how my paints flow together, the colors that I use, if I could just enjoy? And I think so many people are overwhelmed by decision fatigue in their art because they're asking the wrong questions. Is this good? Is it great art? Did I make the right choice? All of these very objective things that don't have to exist in art at all. They don't have to exist. You can just like let go of all that and say there is no right and wrong in art. There is only flow, there is only creativity, there is only showing up. So you can paint and just let go, let go, let go, let go of all of the things that are stopping you, let go of being so stuck on every decision. Let go of thinking about the decision you made 5 minutes ago and just make the next decision. So many people get stuck in their art because they're trying to go backwards. They're like, how do I fix change? Was that the right call? It doesn't matter. There's only the next decision when it comes to making art and being in a flow process. There's only what color am I using next? What am I adding? What am I taking away? Whatever it is, even if it's correcting some decision you made earlier, it's still your next decision. And so many people are stuck in art and in life, commiserating, suffering, punishing themselves for the past, how would it feel to say it's okay to make mistakes? It's okay to make imperfect art. It's okay to not make all the right decisions. All I need to do is show up. And I want you to get into that flow state because that is the most magical thing as an artist. To get into the flow state where you're just in creation, where you're letting go, where you don't have to control every decision, where you are in tune with something deeper in yourself and maybe greater than yourself, and just saying, I trust my gut. And you can repeat that to yourself. Having affirmations or mantras, ideas to fall back on is so important because sometimes we get into these loops in our brains. We've wired our brains so much to look for everything we're doing wrong, to figure everything out. What would happen if you could say, I trust myself, I trust my gut, I am in flow, I am creating? What would happen if you could let go, let go, let go, and just be in the flow? I wonder. I hope you let go today, and I hope you get into the flow state, and I hope you trust your gut and trust your intuition and trust, if this is your vibe, something greater than yourself, that there is a reason for how your art should be made, and to also just enjoy it. Enjoy it without judgment of, is this good, is this bad? No, good, bad. I don't like the words good and bad when it comes to making art because I feel like good and bad are the enemies of the flow state. You have to let go of things being good or bad when you're in creation, and sometimes when I'm done with my art I'll be like, wow, this is good, or I would change this. Creating and judging need to be separate activities in my own experience. But I'll say, like, getting out of that, is this good, is this bad, is so important. You can't make art if you feel like every moment you're being judged. You can't go through life in anything akin to a flow state if you're always worried that you're doing things wrong, because that's the opposite. Worry is the opposite of flow. I think of it this way. I'm not great at skiing, and I went skiing once with a friend who's amazing at skiing. I was so scared because you're going fast down a hill on two like wooden things. That scared me. It's not, I don't think it's for me. But she is so skilled. So I was going down and I was like stopping myself all the time. I was like it wasn't, you could tell that I don't ski a lot. And for her, she was just like, woo, woo, woo. Like she was just like zooming down the mountain. And I was like, are you not afraid of falling on your face? But I think if I talked to her about it, she'd probably be like, no, I'm just like enjoying the snow and the wind and the feeling of moving. And I felt so stuck because I was stuck in fear. And what if I fall? What if I hurt myself? What if? Which, like, when you're skiing, kind of valid, right? uh I've always been like so scared that I'm gonna like break something, like God forbid, knock on wood. Oh, this is plastic. Knock on wood for me. I remember seeing her like zooming down the mountain and being like, what, is she just not afraid? And I realized that even though I could not get into the flow state when it comes to skiing, nor do I have the desire to do that, I can do that with art or with music or with other things. We stop ourselves, like me when I was skiing, when you just think, what if I fall? What if I do this wrong? What if, worst case scenario? And I think art is the same way, except the worst case scenario is like really not a big deal. So acknowledging, like, oh, what if I mess it up? Yeah, like you might, that's okay. What if I waste my art supplies? You'll get more art supplies, or you'll get cheaper art supplies, or you'll be like an artist that paints with rocks and nature. I don't know. What if someone judges my art? Well, then they're lame and they're probably judging themselves too. Flow state is about letting go of fear. And what's the opposite of fear? Trust, faith. Trusting that things are what they should be and that things will come out as they're supposed to, and that there's a part of you that knows how to create and will come out, and that the more you get in touch with that gut, with that part of you that can create, the more comfortable you will be and the more flow state you'll get into. The more you do this, the more you're telling your brain, hey, brain, it is safe to make art. It's safe to create. It's safe to show up. It's safe to trust myself. Like, you have to consistently show up to build that relationship in your mind with yourself, with your gut, with your intuition. You have to build that flow state as a part of your brain. And I've made so much art, I've painted a lot, that now getting into that flow state, it's always magical, but it's second nature to me to be like, okay, I know how to get into the flow state. I'll probably play some music or play some video I'm watching, and then at the same time, I'll like mix up my paints and paint, and I'll be like, oh, this is so cool and fun. And now I'm like the friend who's skiing down the mountain, but I really have developed that with time, and I've spent a lot of time making art and sometimes making impermanent art, drawing with sidewalk chalk or drawing with cheaper art supplies so that I could just get used to it. Like, get used to the act of creating, get used to the act of trusting yourself, and you will build those neural pathways in your brain. You will build that trust with yourself over time if you show up and consistently create. And if you can just take a leap of faith and trust me that if you keep showing up, you'll tap into that flow state. It might take a while. It could take years before it feels like second nature, and you'll still have days where it's just not happening. But trust me that if you keep showing up, your life will change and you'll be able to get into that flow state with other things in life, whether it's socializing with people, public speaking, heck, making videos. A lot of these things are really uncomfortable when you first do them, but once you do them, they become natural and comfortable. And I really wish that for you, because it is one of the best parts for me about being a human, is getting to make art and getting to tap into that flow state and enjoying the things that I'm doing. And I wish that for you. I wish for you to get into that creative headspace. If you enjoy this, make sure to send it to another artist friend of yours. Tell me what your thoughts are about getting into the flow state. Tell me if you made some art while you listen to this, because that's the best thing of all.